What if? Look at me, just being so What if? Look at me, just being so humble.
God, I hate tight ends.
What it is they leave Devontae Adams wide open because he sucks.
I don't spend much time staring at guys' mouths.
That's why I can justify Tyrod. I mean, he's a poor man's Russell Wilson, who's a poor man's Cam Newton, who's a poor man's Michael Vick from Madden 2004.
But I still love you, Martavis. I'm so happy you missed the playoffs for so many reasons. I'm drunk.
I am Trent Scott, joined by Jeremy Scott.
Trent Scott, it is good to be back.
Oh, I guess we're having a little snafu. I guess we had a
First show.
First show. There's going to be a couple of little glitches. So, hello and welcome to the new and re-improved Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Trent Scott.
It just got better.
That is Jeremy Scott. What's up, man?
Good to be back, dude. Fantasy football season is here, and there's actually quite a bit that has gone on today. Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. We were expecting the Ezekiel Elliott ruling today. We did not get it. That actually really concerns me as both if I'm an Ezekiel Elliott owner in fantasy and if I'm a Cowboys fan in general, because now you're looking at tomorrow's Wednesday. At the earliest, you're going to get the decision. So
no, they already announced he's playing.
Well, that's what Jason Garrett said. But if they don't get if they get the ruling that he's still suspended, they're not going to have enough time to get a lawsuit filed. So,
but the thing is, they've already filed the appeal. They're going to delay it, just like Brady. Literally, it'll be the same exact thing. I'm going to say this. I think Zeke plays every single game this year.
So you think it's going to be exactly like Brady and DeFord?
Why would it be, I guess, aside from, Tom Brady and Zeke? But I think he plays this year. I think we'll see his suspension next year. But what does that do to McFadden, my friend? And he's a guy that we talk about on the show very regularly. So he's completely obsolete. You know what we're here for is the apocalyptic picks. That's where we like to come in, given those picks where somebody like Zeke doesn't play. Now, Zeke is going to play. So Mike Evans, Jarvis Landry, Jay Ajayi, Devontae Parker, those guys, and Trent, confirm me if I'm wrong, but they just confirmed that the Bucs-Dolphins game will not be played, correct?
ESPN's Jeff Nicholson is reporting right now that due to Hurricane Irma coming up to the Miami coast, that because the Dolphins and Bucs, who are scheduled to play each other in Miami this week, happen to share a bye week, week 11, that the game is going to be moved to November 19th into week 11. Wow. So that is a huge blow because you're talking about Mike Evans, Jay Ajayi, both first-round picks.
Deshaun
now
Jackson.
Not playing week one. But then you've also got guys that you were counting on to be there. Deshaun Jackson, Jarvis Landry, Devontae Parker. All those guys not playing week one now. Plus, that means these two teams are going to have to play 16 consecutive games with no bye week. So you're going to have some beat-up players on those teams.
Right. Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, it's like you said, later on this season, we're going to feel that, but we're going to get to this. There are not a lot of favorable matchups week one. No one's been injured aside from the standard preseason. But again, that's what we're here for. We try to dig through them. Now, Trent, we'll get to the picks later. I know you're biased, but who do you think is going to win this year, Super Bowl?
Well, if you can see, I have a nice new addition to my apartment. This lovely Tom Brady poster, the GOAT, as confirmed by the cover of Madden 18.
Let me put it this way. I wish the floods would have came after that poster got hung up.
Oh. Yes, for those of you unaware, I am in the woodlands. I did have to leave during Hurricane Harvey last week. All good, though. But the Tom Brady poster had to have something special for the first show.
Me too. As you can see, my Johnny Football I'd like to honor Texas A&M in their former glory because as we all saw Sunday night, it's
that glory is definitely in the past.
So is Sumlin.
Kevin Sumlin didn't get the Lane Kiffin USC treatment where they didn't even put him on the plane back home after Lane Kiffin lost.
It should be like that. I think there's more money involved where someone gets a higher payout. But anyway, it's not good. But that's not what we're here to talk about, Trent. What we're going to do for this show, we're going to keep it same, what we do about 30 minutes last time, 20, 40 minutes.
About 30 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. So I know the last radio show I did was 2 hours. Don't worry. We will not be doing a 2-hour show. I promise. It will be 30 minutes tops. So, Trent?
A couple quick notes before we start giving out the picks. A few things to know. The way these picks are going, only picking players that are owned in 50% or less of Yahoo leagues. Hence the apocalypse. We're here to find players that are on the fringe that can bail you out of bad situations. Obviously, it's week 1, so there's not a ton of injuries right now. But as the season goes on, these picks will become more clear why we're picking certain guys. But that's the threshold, 50% or less in Yahoo leagues. And we're basing our scoring because Jeremy and I will be keeping track of our head-to-head record on a PPR system. So we will be able to see as the season goes on who is the better picker.
Now, as he brought up, for those of you that we do have some returning listeners, Trent, dude, I swear you were like 4-0 to start out the season, or were you more like 6-0 and you lost?
I think it was 4-0, and yes, it came down to week 17, which if anyone plays fantasy football, they know week 17 is very much a crapshoot because a lot of times, like last year, Ezekiel Elliott didn't even suit up for week 17.
Well, yeah, most of them
get guys not suiting up, so you get like Matt Flynn had a 480-yard, 6-touchdown game on week 16 a few years ago.
That earned that man so much money.
Yeah, so all kinds of crazy things happened week 17, and that is how I ultimately wound up losing 2 years ago. The head-to-head competition.
That sounds sweet.
That's not going to happen again.
Now, to further specify, like Trent said, it will be PPR. So if it is a standard league, obviously it kind of boils over. But a guy like Danny Woodhead is not as valuable in a non-PPR. So we do PPR. We base this off Yahoo and ESPN pretty much. They're kind of the same. But again, 50% or less. So like I said, it is extremely slim apocalyptic pickings. But we may make an amendment later on to do 60% or lower, but as of now, we're going to stick to 50%. Now, you could have some guys better, that are better suited to play this week. However, there are some guys that we are pulling out of a hat, and it'll be interesting to see because there's always the guys. Like I have a wide receiver who remember how we're like, oh, he's going to be one of those guys. Johnny.
We are live.
Johnny. Anyway.
Oh, man. It's like Johnny football to screw something up.
Oh, yeah. There's my mowers. Anyway, Trenton, I think that's all I got before Johnny rudely interrupted me. Let's start with the picks, my friend.
All right, so starting out with quarterback. Jeremy, who is going to be your apocalyptic quarterback this week?
It's very apocalyptic. Apocalyptic? It's very apocalyptical. There it is. I'm going with Tyrod Taylor. I'm not excited about it, but the other choices were, just realized my dogs are out back. Oh, well. Just realized the Tyrod Taylor, I like him. Just got done with his injury. Cleared to practice today. And he is going to be a great fit this week.
So here's the good news about Tyrod Taylor. He's playing the New York Jets, who have done everything in their power to make their team bad, including just last week trading their best defensive player, Sheldon Richardson, to the Seattle Seahawks. So Tyrod Taylor, if there was ever a week to play Tyrod Taylor, it is this week against the New York Jets.
Did you see that 40 time by Bear?
I did not see that, no.
Okay. So you were saying you do not like Tyrod. I missed it. Just give me the gist of it.
No, I was saying I do. I said if there's any way to play Tyrod, it is this week. Because he's
Against
playing
the Jets.
Jets. Yeah.
Precisely.
The Jets are
Okay.
terrible. They've done everything in their power to make their team bad this year. They want that first pick. They want their choice of Darnold or Rosen.
Good for them.
So, yeah, respect after what Rosen did on Sunday night.
3 touchdowns and 280 yards in the fourth quarter, I believe. Is that what it was?
292 in the fourth quarter alone. That's insane.
And 3 touchdowns, right?
4.
In the fourth?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable. All right, so if you need Tyrod, he's a good guy this week. I actually just dropped Carson Wentz and picked up Tyrod. I put my money where my mouth is. I'm going with Tyrod.
Well, that's good to hear.
Well, Trent, what is your quarterback pick?
So my quarterback, again, this is not a guy I would normally recommend playing under most circumstances, but strictly based on matchup, Sam Bradford is actually a pretty decent pick this week because the Vikings are playing the Saints in the Adrian Peterson Memorial game.
That is going to be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I think so too. You got 2 teams that conceivably could be borderline playoff teams depending on how their season goes. Adrian Peterson obviously is going to be looking to have a huge game against the team that just let him go. But more importantly, Sam Bradford gets to play the notoriously leaky Saints defense. So I normally wouldn't under any circumstance want Sam Bradford on a fantasy team, but this is a week where he actually has some legitimate value.
Right. Speaking of which, he's above 50%, but I think Kyle Rudolph is a big beneficiary this week against New Orleans. I'm going to the game, by the way. Did I tell you that?
You did not.
I'm literally going to the Saints-Vikings game in Minnesota.
When are you leaving?
Saturday.
Wow.
It's a Monday night game.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So Saturday, and basically going into town, and I don't want to say it yet, but we might be sitting in the owner's suite.
What?
More details to come, pictures and videos.
We got connections on this show, folks. We got connections.
Yes, I'll be meeting Dalvin Cook. So, yeah, that's going to be fun.
Looking for the show next week.
I'm going to be very, very happy next Monday. It'll be cool, too, because I'll come back into town. I'll have all those pictures and videos and be able to show them on the show. We'll have to get them to. Also, shout out to Brad. Brad Miner.
Oh, yeah, I meant to do that off the top of the show.
Yeah.
Brad Miner, our director, producer, all-around technical guru, making this whole video thing possible and expanding on what used to just be a podcast.
Now, our listeners actually may not be as appreciative because they might not looking at us the same.
Or looking at us at all.
Yeah, to be fair. But yes, Brad, greatly appreciate it. Love having you on board. Love the background and the setup, split screen. I don't know how to do it, so appreciate having you on board, brother. All right, Trent.
Yeah, let's get going. Running backs. We're going to be picking 2 running backs. So, Jeremy, who is your first running back?
My first running back this is a reach of all reaches. Giovanni Bernard. He's playing the Baltimore Ravens, notoriously excellent against the run. Jeremy Hill's a little banged up. Joe Mixon is probably banging up another woman.
Oh, come on.
He's the third. He's the third now. Giovanni Bernard will be the beneficiary of this weekend because they're going to be dumping off. Dalton likes to dump off. It's PPR, remember. I like Gio. He's still technically got clout. Also, I swear, Jeremy Hill's 24, Gio is 25, and Joe Mixon is what, 22? Trent, are you a Mixon guy?
Am I a what?
Mixon guy?
No, not at all.
I accidentally auto-drafted him in one league and was so mad because I can't. He might do well, but it won't be till week 11.
Yeah, the fact that he's opening the season listed 3rd on the depth chart when everyone just assumed he was going to come in and immediately become the starter, that's pretty concerning.
And that's why you listen to this show, because we have been anti-Mixon from the beginning. That value is not there. He's ADP mid-30s. It's like,
yeah, it's insane.
would you rather have, Fitz or, even Crowell, guys like that, for sure.
Yeah, Crowell is the guy I actually think has some sneaky good value this year. But as far as Giovanni Bernard, my thoughts on this, I don't love it. I understand why you're doing it, though. I just do think it is a risk when we know that 3 different running backs are going to be playing, which we'll get to my pick here in a second. It's a similar situation.
Yeah. I'd like to hear who that is.
But again, this is we're dealing with players that are owned in 50% or less of leagues. And since this is week 1, basically all the good guys are gone. But my first running back from the Philadelphia Eagles, I just have a sneaking suspicion about this guy. I'm going with Wendell Smallwood. This is a real big gamble, and it might actually have more value for the season than for week 1. Basically, the Eagles, obviously, they still have Darren Sproles, an incredibly dangerous punt returner, third down back. And then they brought in LeGarrette Blount, who, of course, led the league with 18 touchdown rushes last year. But that was as a New England Patriot. And suffice to say, I don't think this Eagles team is as good as that Patriots team that won the Super Bowl last year. So I am not expecting LeGarrette Blount to go anywhere near the numbers that he had last year. Now,
right. I mean, it's a completely different offense. But this is a pick not only do I not like, I loathe entirely. Wendell Smallwood, first off, his name is retarded. He doesn't even sound like he should be in the NFL. Second off, look at this guy's historical stats.
Let's hear him.
Okay, by the way, he's listed number 4 on the depth chart behind Sproles, and I guess you must have forgot this guy, Donald Pumphrey. Never heard of that dude in my life. All right, so last year he had 77 carries for 312 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 6 catches for 55 yards. Trenton, my friend, what do you see that I don't?
So this is, again, I'm really just playing a hunch here. Darren Sproles, we know, is not a guy that's going to have 200 touches. We just know that that's not something that's ever going to happen. I have a sneaky suspicion LeGarrette Blount they're going to quickly realize, not that great. We saw when he went to Pittsburgh, he was not very good. He's had 2 good seasons in the NFL. They were both with the New England Patriots. I don't think that's a coincidence. So I'm just playing a hunch here that come game time, LeGarrette Blount is going to struggle a little bit, much like we saw in the Super Bowl, and it's going to result in him winding up on the bench, and those carries are going to have to go somewhere. So I'm just playing a gut feeling here. I think Wendell Smallwood is going to wind up with like 12 to 15 carries this week.
That would be interesting. I'd also side bet, if you're interested, that he has less than that. That was a call out.
Yeah. Again, I'm just playing a hunch here. So I could be totally wrong on that. We'll see what happens. But let's move on. Jeremy, who's going to be your second running back?
My second running back, survey says, CJ Prosise. This guy has been one of my favorites since last year, since he tore his ACL, I believe, MCL, they're all the same. He tore something down there. The guy has a lot of potential. He was a rookie last year out of Notre Dame. Very fiery, very fast. I think he had even 7. Drink up, Trent. I think he even had 7.
I'm not on camera. Nobody saw that.
I think he even had 7. Lost my train of thought. 7 catches with Russell Wilson in his second game, but then he tore his ACL. So I like him picking up from where he left off. Now, what I don't like is this guy named Carson coming out of nowhere. But Lacey sucks. He's proven that. And Thomas Rawls is a little banged up. We know he's good. Your boy, you like Rawls. He's got potential. But I do think in a PPR league, if you are scrounging and you have a guy like Odell who's not playing, you have a guy like Mike Evans, Ajayi, guys like these, you have got to put him into your lineup. He's a potential 15-plus guy, maybe 20, if he gets in the end zone.
These timeshares are so tough because you just don't know how they're going to play out, especially this early in the season. And I'll have the same problem with my next pick as well. But as far as Prosise is concerned, he definitely does have some value as a pass catcher. This is obviously we're going off PPR scoring, so there is some added value there. I do think that Pete Carroll is going to want to give Rawls and Lacey their shots. So I think Procise is the guy that might have more value later in the year than in week one, because I think Carroll's probably going to want to give the big bruising backs. I mean, of course, everyone knows
that's how he is.
Marshawn Lynch famously was their go-to guy for several years. So I think early on in the year, there's a chance that Lacey and Rawls are both going to wind up with like 10 to 12 carries each for the first maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And then the timeshare might open up more for Procise. But so I think he has more value long-term than he does this week.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Trent, we're going to speed it up a little bit. Let's get your running back pick.
All right, my second running back, again, I was just talking about LeGarrette Blount from the New England Patriots. He's gone, but the man who's still there, Dion Lewis. Jeremy, here, quick question for you. Dion Lewis has played 17 games as a New England Patriot. How many of those games do you think the Patriots have won?
Not fair. You asked me that earlier, so I'm not going to answer.
And what's the answer, Jeremy?
17, my friend. The answer is
right.
17. Which is very impressive.
Are undefeated in games that Dion Lewis has played in the last 2 years. Obviously, he's a guy that's got some injury concerns. He's healthy right now, though. We know Tom Brady loves throwing the ball to running backs. Of course, Kevin Falk for many years. We saw it with James White in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. What the heck do you think? Like James White's
still there. But
he's ahead, too.
Well, but again, we know the Patriots are going to rotate 3 or 4 running backs in. And I just think Dion Lewis, again, we're really throwing darts at the wall here. This is one that I actually feel pretty decent about, though. Dion Lewis is just such a dangerous playmaker that I do think that, especially in the PPR format, Lewis has some underrated value.
Yeah, I agree. He's, to me, just like you were saying about Procise, I think later on he could have potential. But Brad, I'm in a league with Brad, our camera guy, and I have Dion Lewis stashed on a bench. This is a 16-team keeper league. Brad's team is terrible. 16!
That doesn't even sound fun.
It's not. You have to keep 3 people in.
God.
But, dude, the devotion that this league has makes it.
I can imagine, yeah.
Very fun. Because it's basically a free league. But anyway, go ahead.
Let's move on to wide receivers. Jeremy, who is your first wide receiver this week?
I'm going to go with a guy who started out super hot and a guy who's probably going to be a beneficiary because I think Brandon Marshall is going to play, but Odell Beckham is not. I'm trying to get this figured out. Anyway, Odell Beckham is not, and I think Sterling Shepard is going to benefit from that. Like Sterling Shepard, Brad, I'm not sure what's going on with the camera, dude. Like nothing moved. Is that better?
That's worse. All right. Well, I'll just go ahead and give my thoughts on Sterling Shepard. Brad, I don't know if you want to put me on screen while Jeremy's getting his stuff figured out.
Hey, my nose is picking too.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sterling Shepard. I think he benefits. Sterling Shepard caught 3 touchdowns in his first 5 games last year as well. I could see him getting in the end zone against Dallas. The Giants love to perform against Dallas. It's in Dallas, I believe. So it should be fun.
Yeah, of course, everyone knows. Huge rivalry, Giants-Cowboys. It seems like every year it's the Sunday night week 1 game. I don't know why they keep doing that, but that is the case again this year. Again, the Giants are a team that actually – they signed Brandon Marshall in the offseason. I absolutely love that pickup. And it may seem counterintuitive, but I think the Brandon Marshall addition actually makes Sterling Shepard more valuable. Because Marshall is, of course, a big red zone threat. Sterling Shepard's the underneath guy. He is the Julian Edelman, Wes Welker of this offense. So, again, PPR format, this is a guy who could easily rack up 6 or 7 catches for 70 yards. And all of a sudden, he's got 13, 14 points in a really good afternoon.
Right. Can definitely see that happening. Now, Trent, give us your first wide receiver pick.
My first wide receiver. Speaking of PPR specialists, how about Danny Amendola? Of course, Julian Edelman, torn ACL, out for the year. Incredibly sad to see him go. Obviously, I'm a Patriots fan, as you can tell by the Tom Brady poster.
And
Julian Edelman, though,
and an X-Men fan, if you guys couldn't tell.
as by the T-shirt. But Julian Edelman, obviously the underneath guy, had 98 receptions last year. Those balls have to go somewhere. We already know from 2 years ago when Edelman got hurt, Danny Amendola stepped right in, basically matched his numbers game for game, did not miss a beat, even threw Tom Brady a touchdown, if you remember that, in one of the more memorable plays. It was a quite fun play. I think Danny Amendola is a slam dunk. I can't believe he's only owned in 43% of the leagues right now. I think not only is this guy,
Chris Hogan is there. I mean, him and
again,
Amendola
that's a deep threat though, because you have Randy Cooks and Hogan on the outside.
Gronk,
Brady, we know.
Allen, Hogan, Amendola.
I
Cooks.
don't think the
You didn't even mention Cooks.
I just said Cooks. I said Cooks and Hogan on the outside.
Did you? Marty
But we know Brady assaults the middle. Those Julian Edelman plays are going somewhere. I think Danny Amendola is where they're going.
Edelman is a 100% out guy. He does not go across the middle. He runs outs all day long. Tiny little. He might go across the middle, but he's definitely an out guy.
The point is he's running the short underneath routes.
Which I guess, that's what Amendola kind of takes place.
That's Amendola's specialty.
Let me put it this way. I'm taking Cooper Kupp over Amendola. He's guaranteed on your
Good
guys'
luck with Jared Goff as your quarterback.
It doesn't
Let's
matter.
move
He's just
on.
tossing the ball. If he catches it 7 times for 70 yards, it's 14.
How did that work out for any of the Rams wide receivers last year, Jeremy?
I'm taking Kellen Mond 3 for 17.
Oh, okay. We got to get going. Jeremy, who's your second wide receiver?
Josh Dotson. Here's a guy who I think has a lot of upside, a lot of potential. Can't stay healthy. Hate the fact that he's a TCU dude, but anyway, I think Josh Dotson could be like a Kevin White type player, one of those guys who we don't know what he has. He could emerge and be a stud. Terrell Pryor has kind of made me take a step back. I still like Pryor, but he's made me take a step back this offseason, preseason. And Crowder, we know what we're going to get from Crowder. He's not a touchdown guy. He might have 85 catches, maybe. I don't even think he has that much. But anyway, I really like Dotson. I think he's going to be one of those dudes that will probably be one of the guys we can't pick anymore later on in the year. Potentially.
I think you mentioned Jamison Crowder. I think Crowder's role from last year is going to wind up being the exact role that Dotson has this year. The Redskins lost Deshaun Jackson, lost Pierre Garcon. They bring in Terrell Pryor. Jamison Crowder is now the number 2 receiver. Josh Dotson, of course, their first-round pick last year, becomes their number 3 receiver. Not going to play every snap, but going to play probably 70% of the snaps, I would imagine, with that Kirk Cousins offense. They love to throw the ball. Clearly, they have faith in him.
Touchdowns.
They took him in the first round. They like him. You know, I'm not overly thrilled about him, but obviously the Redskins have some faith in him. So, yeah, I think there's some value there.
All right, Trent, tell me who your last valuable wide receiver pick.
My last valuable wide receiver, Cole Beasley of the Dallas Cowboys. That's right. Playing that Sunday night game against the Giants. Dak Prescott, we saw it last year, doesn't throw a ton of deep balls. He assaults the middle, occasionally opens it up to Dez Bryant. Cole Beasley had by far the best year of his career last year after Prescott took over for Tony Romo. I think that continues here week 1. Cole Beasley, 8 catches, 80 yards.
I like the Bees a lot more than Amendola for sure. Beasley had some good games, like you said, 7 catches, 8 catches, stuff like that. I don't know how the run game is going to be. Like, I have no idea. So
we still don't know who the running back is.
Right. It'll probably be Zeke, but who knows? So I could see Beasley having a good game. I actually kind of like that flex start right there if need be, or you're in a 3 wide receiver league and you need to start one. I'm in a 3 wide receiver league with a flex, and it's slim pickings. So anyway, I think that's all. All right, moving
on to tight ends. Jeremy, who is your tight end?
My end that is tight is Jared Cook. The guy
you couldn't even say it without laughing.
It's just because of his face and his eyes and how he looks like he's Anyway, Jared Cook, I think, could be.
Whoa, hold on. Breaking news: Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension upheld. NFL Mobile. Zeke still suspended. This is looking like it's going to court.
You heard it here first.
Crazy.
In the fantasy football apocalypse. You heard it here first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So our producer Brad just told me still eligible to play week 1, though, due to the timing. I guess he'll be suspended for the following 6 games, which is kind of an odd situation. But, yeah, Zeke will still miss 6 games. As far as Jared Cook is concerned, he sucks. That's really all that needs to be said.
I didn't even get to speak my piece. Jared Cook is getting $10 million by Oakland this year, so they obviously brought him in for a reason. He's had a quietly good preseason, and Derek Carr's a gunslinger. Now, here's another thing.
The preseason.
I just lost my train of thought. Who are they playing? Who are the Raiders playing week 1? Because it's Chargers, Broncos. Who are the Raiders playing?
That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head.
The Raiders have, on the whole, one of the top 5 hardest secondary schedules of the year. I think Jared Cook could have some big games.
I absolutely disagree with that.
This will be one of them. All right, Trent, finish us off.
All right, finishing us off, my tight end this week, Colby Fleener of the New Orleans Saints. Willie Snead's out for 3 weeks. Obviously, Brandon Cooks is gone. We know Michael Thomas is probably going to have 1,200, 1,500 yards this year. But Drew Brees is going to throw the ball 40, 50 times. He's not going to throw it to Michael Thomas 20 times. He's got to throw the ball to somebody else. I think Colby Fleener he's not the most talented guy in the world. I'll be the first to admit it. But just based off the Willie Snead injury, I think that there is some value here for Colby Fleener this week.
Fleener is a good tight end pick, I would say, for this week, even though I picked Cook above him. Fleener is a good pick, I'd say. But the only thing I would like to point out is what I noticed, the trend of your players. 4 of the 6 players Trent picked were white, and I believe that is a racial statement. I will end it with that.
I mean, come on, that's a bit much. I like who I like. I don't feel the need to defend myself. Make America great again. I don't know. But dude, it's week 1. We have
what I'm saying is that's going to bode negatively for you.
Who cares? It's week 1. We have the NFL, man. Let's focus on
Let's go, dude. I'm so pumped. So 2 games Thursday night, 2 games Monday night. Make sure to, or no, 1 game. Patriots, Chiefs Thursday night, and then we got Saints, Vikings, which I will be there. And then we also have, who's that other one? It was kind of a non-exciting game. It was Jaguars and somebody. But anyway, Trent Scott, good to be back. Brad, love having you aboard. Trent, any final, I think you need to ask me any words of wisdom.
Yeah, Jeremy, as we get ready to wrap up our first show this year, any parting words of wisdom?
Yes. Texas should fire Tom Herman and hire Kevin Sumlin.
Funny, because I think A&M should fire Kevin Sumlin and hire Tom Herman.
Phoebe would like to say
bye. Here comes Phoebe, ladies and gentlemen, as we are wrapping up the show.
We appreciate you listening. We will be on every Tuesday from 7:30 to about 8, give or take. And we're going to be Facebook Live, so we're going to answer some live questions next week. We had to do it this way for whatever reason, but we'll get it all figured out. We appreciate you guys.
Peace.